Alright, just a quick update. Got some kale planted here, and the kale, if you don't know, you pick the bottom leaves off, and then as more new leaf comes up, you just continue to pick the bottom, and then that's how you usually harvest kale. I mean, some people can cut the whole thing off, but if you want a prolonged harvest, you just pick the bottom leaves. But I'm going to do something a little bit different for next year. This whole row, this is hyssop. I got yarrow here, as you tell, even though as cold as it is, it's blooming. Got some bee balm, which is like one of the best for pollinators if you're into honeybees or planning for sale. Black-eyed Susans. Now some say the black-eyed Susans are biennials, some say they're perennials. Well, I'm gonna find out. We'll see. Which biennials, if you don't know, are they basically grow 1 year, they bloom the second, and then they die. So we'll see if that's true, or if I got perennials or biennials, whatever it may be. Now these are purple cone flowers. These guys are very slow growing, so definitely have to keep the weeds down for them to get established. I could tell I could probably go through and do some more weeding again, but back to what I was saying, if you haven't noticed, got a whole row of perennial flowers. And then these are, I can't think of the name of them, daisies. Yeah, that's what they are. And I want to make this whole row perennial flowers for an edge of the border of the garden. And then this here, I'm going to get rid of this whole row here, because with this fence line, it is absolutely terrible to keep the weeds out, because you can't do a very good job. So if I move the whole garden over to here, then when I go to do mowing, I can mow on this side, and then I can take a shovel or an edging and just edge right along here, and then I'll be able to do a better job of keeping the weeds out and stuff. Plus, you don't have to worry about electrocuting yourself from the fence. So if I'm doing that, I have to get rid of this box. This is all just weeds pretty much. This is lemon balm. Of course, it went to bloom and stuff. I actually got some roses in the back I want to transplant that I planted a year ago, and then there were just some suckers and stuff. So I gotta get rid of all this. There's some chives in there, so get rid of the box so you can drive around the back here, let it all fill with grass. I gotta move all these plants up there, and then this here I had to go get mulch, but I also, from doing some firewood, got a big old pile here, which I'm gonna, basically using with the flowers. So that stuff will work pretty good. Use what you got. The saying goes, use what you got. Of course, there's some flowers in here. This was just kind of like a fill-in bed. I had some extra stuff. Little baby chives. Right here, some thyme. Yep, needs weeded. Go through again. Had cabbage from there to here. I'm thinking, well, the garden is about 40 by 60 feet, so that's probably, basically 2 rows there in a 4-foot bed, probably 40 feet long, and not the best crop because we made cabbage, or we made sauerkraut, and we got about probably 80 pounds out of this row, and it was actually kind of a poor crop. I mean, it was pretty bug eaten and stuff, but they're in the middle of summer, but towards the end here it actually turned out decent for as not as good looking as it was. So again, I grew a lot of flowers, so I just kind of filled spots in with perennials and stuff, which I have to move sometime in the spring. And then one of the reasons why I've been wanting to do this was to capture this thing here. This is my tomato trellis. Now obviously it doesn't look very good right now because it's leaning sideways, but the idea is, well, one of the problems you have with the trellis is, let's say if you get like an 8-foot pole, you got to, you know, bury 2 feet of it, so then you're only left with 6 feet tall trellis. But I instead had the idea of building the frame on top, and these are a full 8 feet tall. And yes, I've had tomatoes as tall as this too. Now, the tomatoes were in late this year, but as you can tell, they were getting pretty tall. The reason why I built such a tall trellis is because I had heirloom tomatoes, and for some reason I can't think of the name of it right now. But basically, you have 2 types of tomatoes, some that will just continually grow, and then you have ones that will grow so tall and then go to fruit and then pretty much be done. But so yeah, and if you go to use yarn, make sure to use 2 strands. I've used one in the beginning of the year, and by the end of the year they tend to break because of the weight and stuff. And all I do was just make a little loop there at the top, and you use just something as simple as a rebar, pound it in sideways, tie it to that, and then you got something for the tomato to grow on. But yeah, as far as these joints and stuff, this is really rough. I gotta redo this whole thing. For the joints, these junk plywood or scraps or whatever, and yeah, that's how I keep all the joints together. But I want to make one, basically I can use bolts, basically insert and take out, basically a disassembly assembly kit, so to speak. Because the problem with doing screws, if you're using the same pieces of wood each year, you will actually drill out the wood, so to speak, unless you know, keep moving the drill holes around, and then that will keep you, you know, it won't be as strong, because if you keep putting the screws in the same holes, then you won't, eventually you'll wear them holes out, and then you have to find another hole, and then sometimes you actually split the wood too. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know. Yeah, it'd just be better to use bolts. Then you don't have to worry about splitting the wood, putting so many drill holes in it and that kind of stuff. I mean, to do a little bit better job too, I could sand this down or maybe paint it or something, so it actually is going to last longer. This is actually 2 years old. Yeah, I've used this trellis for 2 years. I mean, I could probably make it work again for next year. I'm gonna need some TLC, that's for sure. But yeah, coming along. Here's K-Cat. Oh, and yeah, there. I don't remember. Cantaloupe was in there. I did have radishes in there somewhere. I forget what else I had. But before I go to plant a new crop in the same bed, try to make sure it's not in the same family, and try to fertilize it between each time too. So if you got horse manure, some sort of fertilizer. Yeah, just a quick update. So that's my mess of a garden. Have a good one.